Hey everybody, this is Jim the Tabletop Engineer. Welcome to a new playthrough video. Today I am going to be starting a new campaign of 2d6 Dungeon. I know the rules now. I've got some cheat sheets made. I've got this little board set up to help me stay organized with things like health and XP and all that. The first thing you have to do is make your character. I've already done that. I have a level 1 character. He's got a long sword. The maneuvers are swing and biting stroke. So I've got two different maneuvers that I'll be trying to roll for. I chose as my armor a padded tunic, so if the enemy ever rolls a 5 for the primary, I get to subtract 1 damage. And I have a healing potion to start out with, and I chose for my magic scroll Melt Metal, which will allow me to get through 1 locked door. Now, if you're not familiar with this game, it's a book driven. You roll dice, you consult tables, and you create the dungeon. It's a solo dungeon crawl. And the first thing you have to do when you enter the dungeon is roll the entrance room. So the way this works is you're going to be rolling 2 dice. Now normally when you do combat, 1 is the primary, 1 is the secondary. So in my case, I will always be rolling green for primary and red for secondary. But when you're rolling for rooms, 1 will control the X and the other Y. So green will be X and red will be Y. If you roll double 6s, it's a 6x6 room. If you roll double 4s, it's not a 4x4 room. Anytime you roll doubles, you roll the dice again and you add those to the original to get the size of the room. Let me just show you how this works. So the entry room is going to be 1x4, which is actually it's actually a corridor. You have to have a starting room that is at least 6 squares. So I'm going to roll again. And 2-1, that's a corridor. There we go, 3x4. All right, so what you do is you start an entrance square, and you can start it on any side of your graph paper. I've got this dotted line. I'm going to start here in the middle. So you have an entry hallway like that, and then you draw the room. Well, it's going to be 3 on the x-axis by 4 on the y, and the entry room will always have a certain number of exits. I believe it's 2. It also has 3 exits. Excuse me. That's right. All right. So 3 would be like this, and 4 will be 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm just going to skip a space for the door. And when there's an exit, you draw an exit like so. And again, when you roll rooms other than the entry room, you'll roll to see what type of doors and also whether they are unlocked. But in this case, the starting doors are always archways. They're not locked. They have no doors. So you have at least 3 directions to go. And I'm going to label this E for the entry room. The entry room never has anything in it. It's just an entry room. And then from here, you basically decide where do you want to go. You can go north, east, or west. Let's go to the north. Let me roll for that room. And that room will be a 3x2. Now you multiply the 2, and if it's ever lower than 6, if it's 6 or lower, it's considered a small room. Otherwise, it's just considered a normal room. So this is a small room. It is going to be 3x2. So I'm not going to do anything just yet because now I need to roll to see how many exits. You roll a d6, and on a 1, there's no exits. It's a dead end. On a 2 or 3, there's 1 exit. On a 4 or 5, there are 2. And on a 6, there are 3 exits. So I rolled a 3, which means there is 1 exit. All right, I'm going to put that exit straight up at the top. Right here, like that. And now I need to see what kind of door it is. All exits from small rooms are archways. Okay, so never mind. So that is an archway, so I don't have to worry about a metal door there. And now we have to roll to see what is in this room. Because this is a small room, there is a table. Now this is the core rule book right here. And you can get this in print or PDF. This is the book of tables. So it's even thicker than the core rule book because it's just nothing but tables. And that's what really gives this game its power. What I'm going to be doing is, since I am on level 1 of the dungeon, I have labeled a tab here called Level 1 Tables. If I open that, I get a list of all the tables that are relevant to a level 1 dungeon. And the one I'm looking for is level 1 small rooms, which is on page 46. So I turn to page 46, and I have a level 1 small rooms. And it looks like I roll a 2d6 to determine what it is. Now, in this case, you don't have to worry about primary, secondary. You just add the numbers. I got a 2, and it looks like a 6. I got an 8, which is called Nevazator Doll, a Nevazator doll. There is a rope doll of Nevazator hanging here, limp and symbolic. If you call for his favor here, -2 to the roll. There is no space to make offering. This is a unique room, so I'm going to put, for number 2, I'm going to call it, it's the Nevazator doll. There's various deities in this game, and this is one of them. There's a doll, and if I call for favor, a call for favor is at -2. Now, in this case, there was no encounter column. Those are typically on the larger rooms, which, by the way, are the table for that is a level 1 room, Human Ancestry, Entry, Part 1. That's what I'm doing, page 42. So if I turn to page 42, you'll notice the tables are a bit more advanced. It tells you what room type, and you have to roll 2 dice to determine the room type. Gives you a description and tells you what you encounter, how many exits and what type they are, and whether it's a unique room. The small room I just went into was not a unique room, or it is a unique room, but it had no encounters. So I'm going to keep moving forward, and what we'll do is let's just go north, see what size room I have. I got a 3 by 5. Okay. A 3 by 5, so this will be room number 3. It is a 3 by 5. Number of exits, no exits, so we have a dead end, all right? 3 by 5, but this defines it as a 3 by 5 room, like so. And by the way, if you need to continue in the dungeon and you've hit all these dead ends, there are rules for how you can find like a secret door. All right, so this is room number 3. It is a standard room, so there is likely to be an encounter. Now, remember, it was page, I think, 42. Level 1 rooms, Human Ancestry, which is what I am, where I am. When you roll 2 dice, there are 36 possible rooms, so that's why it takes over 2 spaces. So in this case, green will be primary, red will be secondary. I got a 3 and a 4. So if I come down this list and I look at 3 and a 4, it is a prayer room. And it says to one side is a small mounted symbol above a small altar and cushion. So I'm going to draw an altar here and a cushion. And for the encounter, it says roll a d6. On a 1 to 4, there will be an L1R table roll. After you search the room, and if you survive, roll on RATT1. You're going to find a lot of the tables have acronyms, so you have to kind of hunt what they are, and I'll show you how that works. So let's roll a d6. A 1 to 4 means I'm going to have an encounter. And I rolled a 5, so there is no encounter. Okay, so far this dungeon is kind of empty. If you survive, which I did, roll on RATT1. Okay, so here's the thing. If you don't know what that table means, you go to the very back, alphabetically, there is a table index. So I'm looking for RATT1. RATT1 is Religious Artifact Treasure Table number 1. It's on page 27. So I turn to page 27, and there it is. And it's it's 2d6.
Check out the new RPG and Wargame newsletter. Each week, the Tabletop Engineer shares news, products, Kickstarters, and much more related to the gaming hobby. It's free to subscribe, so check out the link in the video description below to sign up.
I rolled a 2 and a 5, a 7. There are 5 good quality leather cords which were possibly used for binding books. So 5X leather cords. Now you're asking yourself, leather cords, what does that have to do with? You're going to find a lot of weird things, and you're allowed to sort of use your creativity and your storytelling to come up with, like for instance, 5X leather cords. I might overcome an enemy and say I'm going to, instead of kill them, I'm going to try to knock them out, and I could use these cords to tie them up instead. Why would I want to do that? I don't know, but it's part of the storytelling element of the book. All right, this is a dead end, which means I'm going to have to backtrack. Let's see, I will go back to the entry room, and I guess I will go to the east. Let's go east. By the way, my health starts at 10. Should have set these. I have 0 XP. I don't know why I had these set to anything other than what they were. My shift is 2, and I'll explain that when we hit combat. My fatigue die is set to 1 until combat begins. And I forgot to do my armor block. So my armor block on the primary is just a... so when you go into combat, if the enemy rolls a certain die, you get to block it. And my armor has an armor block of, for the padded tunic, it's just a 5. I do not have a secondary armor block yet. If I find some treasure, I might find a shield or something that will give me a die to put in here. All right, so let's come back to east and let's go the entry room and let's go east. This will be room number 4. It is a 2x6, which is 12, so that's a normal room. So 2x6, and let's roll how many exits? I rolled a 6, so there are 3 exits in all. All right, so a 2x6 room, this is room number 4, 2x6. It is going to be, what did I say, 2x6, 1, 2, and it's got a lot of exits. 1 exit, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I'll put 1 over, well, I'm going to hit a dead end here. So the third exit I'll put here, and it'll lead to a corridor, it looks like. All right, so 2x6 like that with 3 exits, and I need to see what kind of room this is. So once again, I will go to page 42. Since it's not a small room, I'll roll 2d6. Green is primary. I rolled a 1-4. A 1-4 is Mason's Workshop. All right, large blocks of stone scatter the space. All right, so I'm just going to put a lot of blocks around here. You can really have fun with this by if you really get into the map making portion of it, you can really have a lot of fun drawing details and things like that. Large blocks of stone scatter it, iron tools, and an old hammer. Well, if it tells you there's things in the room, you can take them. So I will take that hammer. And it says iron tools and a hammer. So I'm just going to take the hammer. So for the encounter, it says roll a d6. On a 1 to 4, you encounter an artisan. You must fight them. All right, let's see. I rolled a 2, so I will encounter an artisan. All right, so here's how this works. In the back of the 2d6 book are all these cards. You can print them out, and then you'll have the cards. But what I did was I went ahead and bought the cards pre-printed. They come by level, so you want to pull out all the level 1 cards, and they're in alphabetical order, or I had to put them in. So here is the artisan. I'll put the artisan card up on screen so you can see it. I'm going to stick it here as a holder so I can read it more easily. The artisan is 3 hit points. So what I'm going to do to track it is I'm going to draw 3 little boxes. He has 5 XP. His shift is +1, so he gets a shift of 1, and I'll explain shift in a moment. There's treasure. His interrupts. He will deflect meaning he'll deflect damage on a secondary 1, and it's -2 damage, and he distracts on a secondary 6, -1 damage. And his attack is called a jab, and it needs a 5 and a 4. All right, the rules say I get to go first. So I have 2 different attacks. I have the swing, and I have a biting stroke. So the swing is a 4-3, a 4 primary, 3 secondary, and the biting stroke is a 2-3, 2 primary, 3 secondary, which is not looking pretty good. I rolled a 6-6. I did not hit. To hit him, I needed to roll a 4-3 or a 2-3, and the shift, and I have 2, will allow me to adjust a die up or down. You can't make a 6 into a 1, but you could make a 5 into a 6, like go up. You can't wrap around. So there's no way I can turn this 6-6 into a strike. I didn't do an exact strike. Man, roll for damage using the damage sum. Sometimes you will not do any damage. Okay, so that is it for my turn. I thought I'd done well. Let's roll for him. He needs a 5-4, and remember, he has a shift of 1. I have a shift of 2. Let me put his shift here. He has a shift of 1. Yeah, so he can one time per combat he can shift a die, and he doesn't have to do it because he got an exact. Well, no, he didn't. He got a 4-5. He cannot shift he could shift the 4 to the 5, but then this one needs to be a 4, and vice versa. So his shift isn't used. He misses. So now it is. And by the way, so every time you finish a combat round, the fatigue die goes up 1. So it goes from 1 to 2. When it reaches 4, we start getting bonus shifts, which is kind of cool, but it also helps your opponent. All right, so let's go ahead, and my attack is a 2-4. Now you'll remember, a biting stroke is a 2-3. I will use one of my shifts down to 1 to turn this 4 into a 3. So now I have a 2-3, which is a biting stroke. I check his interrupts. He blocks on a secondary 2, no, or a secondary 6, no. And it says that my biting stroke, if it hits, does D6 plus 1 damage. So let's roll for damage. I rolled a 6 plus 1 is 7. That is more than enough to kill the artisan. I get, by the way, he has treasure, but also the encounter told me that I got a treasure. So let me go back to 42 and look at the Mason's Workshop. Mason's Workshop says you must fight them. If you survive, roll on TCT1. So let's check that out. TCT1 is, I should probably write these on another sheet. Tea chest. I'm going to get some tea. Page 31. Okay. Page 31. Tea chest. All right. And it's a 2d12. That's a 3, excuse me. The tea chest is empty. So I'll write that down. Empty tea chest. And then I look at his thing, and it says I get 5 XP, so I'll go ahead and increase my XP up to 5. And for treasure, roll on PT1 and 2d6 silver coins. So what is PT1? PT1 is pouch table, page 23. All right, so he had a pouch. He was carrying a pouch. Pouch table 1, roll 2d12. That is a 5. A 5 is dried pumpkin seeds. Pumpkin seeds, dried pumpkin seeds. There's a use for everything. I'll have to look it up, but I know that those can be used. And it doesn't say how many. It just says some. So I've got dried pumpkin seeds. And then it also says I get 2d6 silver coins. Ooh, 12 silver coins. All right. By the way, I forgot to read his description. A skilled worker who has spent many years learning their art. They are not a fighter, but they are well coordinated and wear sturdy leather armor. They will defend their home. All right. Well, unfortunately, he won't be defending his home anymore. All right. I now have 3 exits. This was room number 4. and I will pick up on my next game. I know you want me to continue, but I want to keep these short so I can produce more of them, make them sort of serialized. I'm going to shoot from 2 a week. I might get lucky and be able to do 3 a week. If you like this, let me know in the comments. If you want to see more of it, let me know in the comments. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and I'll be happy to try and answer the question. So we're starting fresh with 2D6 Dungeon by Toby Lancaster, and I've got 4 rooms explored, and I want to keep going, and I will do so in the next episode. I hope you'll join me then. Until then, this is Jim, the Tabletop Engineer. Everybody, take care.